Shahid, welcome to Forbes India. You have a new release coming up with Bloody Daddy. It comes right after the success you had with your OTT debut in Farzi. What drew you to the role? What was new?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me. And yeah, Farzi was amazing. We really were overwhelmed with the response that we got. It almost started off like a movie, you know. They tell you that a show takes a couple of months to build, but we had so many reactions over the first weekend. It felt more like a movie than a show. But very thankful for all the love that has come Farzi's way, and you know, it's the entire team, and everybody deserves the credit for it. Bloody Daddy is a out-and-out action film. I'm collaborating with Ali Abbas Zafar, who's kind of pioneered this space for a while. However, I think for him also this is an edgier, kind of slightly more new age, grungier actioner. For me, it's me foraying into all-out action after having done some films like, you know, Kabir Singh or Udta or you know, Kamine, which had intensity and they had aggression, but they didn't have full-on action. So I'm excited that I'm stepping into that for the first time, and yeah, it'll be out on the 9th of June.
If you notice some of your past projects, the recent ones, you seem to be pushing the envelope as far as your choices are concerned. Does that come from your experience of being an actor for over 20 years now, or is it that your creative goals have gone a notch higher?
I was trying to push the envelope right from the start. You know, sometimes it takes time for everything to fall in place. I don't think there is a huge change in intent. I think I always intended to do different types of work. Right after my first film, we tried to do Fida, which had action and which had drama in it. It got a mixed response. It didn't do as well as the first one. Then nobody gave me those opportunities, right? And then Kamine happened, which is where Vishal sir kind of chose to give me something which is completely contrary to what I had done. And then after that, that ball kind of got rolling. Then there was, you know, like I said, Udta, and then there was Kabir Singh, and there was Padmavat, and you know, all those films where it was not just about you know, being that kind of lover boy or that romantic kind of guy, which is very, very boring after a while as an actor. So I've been trying to break out ever since. I mean, even when me and my dad tried to make Mausam, we tried to do something different and new. It sometimes takes time for things to come together, and I would say in the last 5 or 6 years, I think things have been falling in place more often than not. And so maybe you know, the experience helps, or maybe the choices are getting better, or maybe it's just, you know, sometimes you wait and believe in what you want to do, and if you continue following your belief, and if you keep backing what you really feel should be your career trajectory, you know, the universe kinds of comes together to give you that opportunity. So maybe it's something like that.
Yeah, it's been 20 years in the industry for you, like I mentioned, and you survived in this industry, which is supposed to be...
You always use this word, right? It's like survive, which means like, you know, yeah, war chal rahi hai, you're inside a, you know, boxing ring or something.
I haven't completed my
but that's
sentence.
true.
What I was saying was, you've not only survived in this competitive industry, but you also stayed on top for all these years. So what would you attribute that to?
I mean, I would say that I have been up and down. It's very nice of you to say that you think I've stayed on top. I think I have stayed relevant, and I think that's very, very important. Top and all, you know, wo aate jate rehta hai. You cannot really control success beyond a point, but you should stay relevant. Your work process, your work ethic should always be evolving with the changing scenario around you, and you have to give people a new experience or a different experience. You have to keep rediscovering yourself as an actor. You should not become predictable. I think that's the one thing that the audience doesn't like at all. So yeah, I mean, I feel fortunate that, but I always wanted to do different stuff. And today, after so many years, people are in the mood for stuff like that, and that's just how it's worked out. But yeah, it is about survival. You know, you do have to sometimes. Yeah, sometimes you feel like, you know, you have to stay afloat. So you go through phases where you feel like, you know, I just want to stay afloat, and then, you know, the tide turns on your side, and then you feel like, man, this feels too easy. Because you've sometimes in life swum against the tide, and then when it's behind you, you just feel like you know, everything's coming together. But those phases will come and go. You should just stick to what you believe.
What were some of the mistakes that you made along the way, and how did you correct those? Did it come from self-realization?
Of course. You also have lots of friends and family around you
Yes.
who don't leave a chance to criticize. कि ये क्या कर रहा है तू? You know, you know how it is.
Yeah.
So I'm fortunate to have people who speak truthfully to me. You know, who tell me what they feel. They don't care. You know, कि मुझे अच्छा लगेगा बुरा लगेगा, because they're saying it from a place of concern. Of course, you go through a phase as an actor where you're surrounded by a lot of people who can only gain or lose from you because they have a professional association with you. And I think one of the most common mistakes that most of us actors make is that we surround ourselves with people who are our friends, but they are people we are working with. You know, so there is that second layer attached to it, and as much as everybody might put their best foot forward, sometimes that does become, you know, that does become like a element that plays. So I really feel that the real friendships for an actor are those where the people that they know don't gain or lose from them. You know, they just like them for the people that they are and they care about them. You know, so I think in the last few years I have very few, you know, and it's very few, and a lot of it is family. And just maybe 2 or 3 friends who, you know, who really don't have anything to lose or gain. You know, so it's a real relationship, and even if I wasn't an actor, they'd still be in my life, and you know, they'd still be speaking honestly to me, and we'd still probably, you know, there would be no change in the equation. And I think that is what I really cherish. And so I have had a lot of people, you know, critique me honestly without any prejudice, and so a lot of changes have happened in me. I mean, I think I've become much better with time, you know, time management. Initially, you know, you struggle. You're like, "Abhi मैं सब कैसे करूँगा?" Right in the beginning, because you know, it's that kind of job, because it's a lot of different things that happen, you know, and you need to be where you are and be completely in the moment with the people that you're with. But there's always so many things asking for your attention. So I think being in the moment, being present, looking at people, talking to them without having 10 other things on your mind, just do what you're doing. I think that's something I've learned over time. I think people management is something that is very, very important, because you know, creative people are very emotional and kind of sentimental in nature, and good work in a creative space can only happen if the overall ambience and the mood is right. But at the same time, you cannot be just having a good time but just being nice to each other and not being critical. So a lot of the times I feel like bad work happens because everybody is being politically correct with each other. Nobody has the, you know, the courage or the conviction or just the honesty to sit up and say, hey guys, you know, I think there's a problem here. I don't think that's working. Like, let's try and fix that, right? So it's finding that balance between getting the work done, but at the same time creating a positive atmosphere around. I think that's very important. I think getting better with the choices that you make, getting clearer about who you are. I think that's the biggest learning that I've had in the last 20 years. I think I'm very comfortable with who I am today. I think I was figuring out who I am, you know, in the first 10, 12, 15 years. But that's, you know, that's just how I started when I was 22.
Exactly.
So it takes a few years to figure it out because there's a lot that gets thrown at you. But I feel I'm very fortunate to be in the headspace that I am in now, because I just feel comfortable and settled and kind of surer than I was earlier. And, you know, it'll be difficult for something to derail me. You know, I'm pretty kind of zoned in and I know what I want to do.
People adore you for Jab We Met even today, but you also had some phenomenal work in Kamine, Udta Punjab. Recently, you had Kabir Singh. There are some films which are divisive in the sense, in terms of opinions. Kabir Singh, for instance. Sure. So, when you choose a character, do you take a moral ground while doing it, or you just look at it as a character and decide to essay it?
See, my job is not to judge the character. It's the audience's job to judge the character. So I don't have a problem if the audience hates me at some point in time in a scene or in a movie, because if that is what I'm going for, if I'm going for a character that needs to be like hated or is intimidating or is so vulnerable that you just feel bad for him, or is extremely lovable, or is just lost or stupid, you know, that is what acting is all about, right? I have to play characters that stand for some fundamental quality that will be what the most kind of obvious thing that jumps out about a character is, right? So one is the personality of the character, how he behaves, and the other is the inner being of that character, of how he feels. A lot of the times people who are very scared behave very aggressively. People who are very afraid try to show strength, you know. So there is always multiple layers. The human kind of the human being is quite a complex creature, you know. So I like playing characters which allow me to kind of play with all these different elements. Otherwise, what will I be doing? I'll be doing the same thing. So it's your decision, you know. If you don't, and I have complete respect for all those people who didn't like Kabir Singh and what he did. I don't have a problem with that. Don't tell me you cannot do that.
Right.
You know, because I think like we're making movies for adults. They can decide what they feel is appropriate and what's not. And people know how to separate between the traits of a character and the quality of performance. I think they are two completely different things. So I'm trying to give a qualitative performance to you. And I want you to like me sometimes. I might want you to dislike me sometimes. That's the fun of being an actor.
Preparation, that's a word that actors use quite regularly. Are you someone who believes in excessive preparation for a role, or do you just go with the flow?
I don't believe in the word excessive only. I think everything should, in a degree, is good. And I think that, you know, what is preparation? Preparation is a sum total of everything that you understand and where you're at. Where is your intellect at? Where is your emotional quotient? Where is your EQ? Where is your instinct? Where is your skill level? You know, all those things come together to define preparation. You know, somebody can spend a year preparing. But how do you compare that to somebody who's been working for 20, 25, 30 years? They've been preparing for 25, 30 years. So you need to know where you are and how much you need to do and what you need to do to get to where you want to get. You know, so that's how I am. I go with, first I view or listen to the content, and I try and understand what the filmmaker wants from me. And then it's a very instinctive process. Sometimes I just get on set, sometimes I feel I need a little bit of time. But most of what I do actually happens for me while I am on set, between action and cut. I don't like to be over prepared. I think it's better to be slightly under prepared than over prepared, because you leave space for spontaneity. You know, you have to trust yourself as an actor. You have to believe that if you're truly if you spent enough time absorbing what it is that you need to perform, it will come. It doesn't need to be pushed. That's something that happens at maybe an early stage. And I think the best actors are the ones that allow it to flow, and I like working in that.
Yeah, you're not a trained actor, you learned everything on the job. Has it been easy for you, or did you ever feel like giving up?
No, I never felt like giving. I love it too much to give up, you know. The thing is not, see, you can maybe feel like giving up in the beginning because you've not invested enough in it. And people are a little more forgiving in the beginning, you know. As things start getting harder and people start getting more critical, and you meet slightly more kind of tougher phases, you're already too far in, and then it's like, you know, I ain't giving up. You know, I've worked too hard for this, and you know, I'm going to earn my right to be here, and I'm going to surprise you, and I'm going to prove you wrong. You know, that's how the mind works. That's as far as, you know, externally, but I think internally it becomes very much about your creative journey. And of wanting to be a better version of yourself, and looking at other performances in other movies, and you know, getting inspired, and maybe going through a difficult time in your life, or going through seeing somebody who has been unwell or something like that, and wanting to bring that out in your performance emotionally, or just wanting to make people happy and make them laugh because, you know, life is tough. You know, those things become the driving factors as an actor.
When you look back, do you feel you are underrated as an actor? Do you think you deserve more?
No, I don't. I know a lot of people use that term, but the fact that you're thinking that I'm underrated means you think I'm better than what, I don't know. Like, I don't. So maybe that works well for me, that people think I'm better than what people say, or what people say. I don't know. You know. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very thankful to be here, and I'm very grateful for the love that I have, and you know, I feel I've made many mistakes, and my best is yet to come, and that's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, actors get showered with a lot of love, attention. There's also a fair bit of scrutiny. But behind the arc lights, there must be some pressure. I mean, does it get intimidating and lonely at times?
It used to. It used to when I used to live alone. It used to sometimes be very lonely. Intimidating, I don't get intimidated easily anymore. Okay. It's difficult for me to get intimidated. What is there to get intimidated about? Failure. You learn from failure. Failure goes away. Success comes. You have to work for it, you know. So what is there to get intimidated about? You have to, you know, sometimes maybe reflect. Sometimes you have to prepare. Sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes you have to push hard. Sometimes you have to let things happen. But that's life, you know. Why should we give ourselves so much importance just because I'm an actor? I'm sure you struggled in your life, man. I'm sure it was tough for you to get to where you are. You want to get to so many other places in life. Everybody works so hard, you know. We get to tell our stories. We are fortunate that people want to know about our journey. Maybe certain people, you know, look up to us and feel like, man, you know, I want to be like that guy, because we are in the limelight and we are in the spotlight. But everybody has a story worth telling, you know. So intimidation, no. Loneliness happened. Now I am very fortunate to have, you know, Meera and my 2 kids, and you know, the extended family, and we all make sure we don't leave each other alone, you know.
Yeah, you've been through that phase where it was about hits and flops.
Sure.
Then came the 100 crore club, 200
It's still about
crore
hits
club.
and flops, by the way, bro. That never goes away.
I know, but now it's about 100 crore, 200 crore, 500 crore. The numbers just go up.
Yeah.
And it's also about theaters and or
Of course.
OTT.
Of course, yes.
So how do you see this evolution, and do you think that commercial success should be the barometer for a film?
Everything has its place, you know. Commercial success has its place, credibility and caliber and appreciation has its place. You know, good content gets received in different ways. Different types of cinema finds its voice at different times. Different actors find different facets of themselves which seem to kind of take their journey forward to reach out to a wider section of people. So I think everything has its place, but I think sometimes people get very myopic, like it just becomes about a number, you know. And of course, numbers matter, but numbers are not always a true indication of the overall love that a film might have gotten, or the caliber of the film, or the quality of the technical aspects of the film, or the performances of the film, right? There are so many things that play. The date you release a film on makes so much of a difference. Yeah. You know, so I think like release dates have become like real estate. You know, the old players have been sitting on them for a long time, and you know, they know that they get that premium because, you know, bigger numbers come in when big holidays happen. And I think the younger lot, or actors who are still pushing hard, are trying to break into those opportunities and come on those big days, but they're taken, you know. So it's kind of like a little competitive, but that's okay. That's part of the game, right? That's what we're here to do. You play the game. Yeah, you work hard and you push for it.
What are you aiming for next as an artist?
Wow, that's a very wide question. I don't really know. I wish I knew exactly what I was aiming for. There's just a few things that matter, I feel. I don't want to do content that's limited. I want to be able to take good content to a wider audience. I think that's something I've always craved to do. I don't believe that you need to make a stupid film for it to be commercially successful. And at the same time, I don't think you should make a super intelligent film which nobody gets. I think neither of those two things play. You have to somewhere be in the middle of that. I want to do parts that are challenging, where I feel like I need to do something new. I should be a little nervous, a little anxious before I get on set. If I'm very comfortable, means I'm not really doing anything different. You know, I should not feel too comfortable when I get on a film set. And I want to work with people who are at least a little like-minded, because it just becomes easier to collaborate like that. And yeah, that's it.
Would you want to get on the business side of things?
In what way?
In terms of filmmaking, maybe production, direction?
No, man, this is the best job. Being an actor, trust me, it's a good job. So I'm happy with my job.
And do you feel OTT has been a boon for actors like you?
Fantastic. I mean, why me? I mean, I don't think I should start with me. I think I should start with the best actors in this country, which are like Manoj sir and you know, KK sir and Tabu ma'am, and you know, these are the best actors in this country. You know, my dad. You know, so I feel that. I felt that during the lockdown, you know, the ones people were talking about the most were these actors. And I was so happy because I have always loved them. I've grown up watching them. I admire them. I believe they are the most watchable things on the big screen, and that's what stardom is about. And so I'm so happy to see that so many people out there are being able to, Pankaj Tripathi sir, there's so many people out there who are stepping out and being seen and getting roles that are so meaty and where it's all about them. And Farzi has been a great outing for me. I couldn't have asked for more. I think OTT is a great platform. I think big theatre will always be the big screen, will always be the big screen. We will all want to be seen there. That's just how simple it is. You know, it's like when you play a cricket match in the biggest stadium in the world, it's just different as opposed to playing, you know, in a smaller stadium. You know, that's just how it is, right? So of course that has its own charm, but as creative people you need opportunities. Those opportunities need to be diverse. so that you can grow and show different facets of yourself. And having different platforms to showcase yourself can only allows you the opportunity to give people more, as opposed to sometimes feeling a little limited, because every game has its rules, right? So when you're playing for the big screen, it has certain dynamics, but when we're doing something for OTT, the dynamics are slightly different. So you can actually use that to your advantage. You also need to get lucky that the right opportunities come your way, but I don't see any harm.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what has stayed with you in this journey of ups and downs and highs and lows when you look back?
What stayed with me? Good question. I think it's love for cinema, your relationship with the audience, and do you feel satisfied every day when you finish your work? How do you feel from here? You should feel good, and those are the only three things that I think eventually stay. Everything else comes and goes.
All right, I think. Thank you so much, Shahid, for your time.
Pleasure.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.